Hey guys, so today I'm going to walk you through exactly what I did to fix my Epson ET2720 when it stopped printing color, even after I had just refilled the ink. So here's the deal. I was in the middle of working on this big sublimation project and I had already printed 3 sheets, so those were looking pretty good. And then all of a sudden, the 4th sheet came out just like this. Now this isn't the actual sheet because of course I already threw it away, but thankfully I was recording, so I just did a snippet of what it looked like so you can get an idea what the 4th one looked like. So let me just say up front, I am not an Epson expert or a technician, but I am pretty good at fixing my own issues when things kind of go sideways. So hopefully what works for me will work for you, but just keep in mind, proceed at your own risk and always follow your own best judgment. So I was able to fix my printer, so I wanted to share the steps with you in case you have the same issues. Just remember, I'm not an expert. I'm just a content creator who is good at figuring out issues that pop up like this. Also, before we get started, it is summer and my son is home from school and he is gaming. So it isn't super quiet around me, but if you're still interested in fixing your Epson and you want to hear what I did, then follow along and don't mind any noise in the back. These are the steps that I followed in order to fix my printer. Every situation is a little different, so you might only need to do the first few steps, but don't jump straight to the last one. That might not be your issue. I personally had to go through all these steps to get mine working again, so take your time and follow along step by step. I am trying to sublimate with the Epson, and when I printed this, the only thing I get is yellow. All right, so I always like to start at the very beginning steps. So like I said, I'd already refilled the ink before I started, but since my project has a lot of color, let's start all over and top off the ink. Better safe than sorry. I also know that with Epson, you have the screen right there where you should be able to see how full your ink is. But honestly, mine always looks full, so I'm not sure if the color stained the window, but I really never know how much ink is in there. So let's go ahead, refill the sublimation ink again, and then I'm going to walk you through the next steps. All right, so now that we finished refilling the ink, we need to let Epson know that we reset the ink levels. This step is super important because the Epson EcoTank doesn't actually measure how much ink is in their tanks. It tracks usage digitally based on what you print. So if you skip this part, the printer will eventually think the tanks are empty, even if you just filled them. And that can cause all kinds of issues like warning messages, printing errors, or even stopping your prints altogether until it gets reset. So I'm going to walk you through how to update the ink levels right on the printer. So you would go to home, you would hit the arrow, and you would just click over to maintenance, then OK. It says nozzle check. We're going to click, and it says head cleaning, power cleaning. We're looking for reset ink levels. So I'm going to hit enter, and it says reset ink levels. So I'm going to hit this little button right here, start, and it just tells you when filling the ink, make sure to not squeeze the ink bottle and ink, because it says ink may splatter, so proceed. Make sure to watch the color of the ink bottle in the ink tank, proceed. Fill the ink tank with ink up to the upper line, so we'll hit proceed. And here, the ones that you filled, you'll want to check. Arrow, okay. Okay, so I'm just arrowing it to the right and hitting OK. Then we're going to select this button to reset it, and it says reset complete. Check if the ink level is above the lower line, which again, I can't really see. So we're going to hit OK, done. And then I'm just going to go back to get out of there. Let's go ahead, we're going to reprint and see if we still have that issue. We know that we refilled the ink and we still got the yellow, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and move to the next fix. Okay, so for this one, we're gonna do a nozzle check. I'm just gonna use copy paper so we're not wasting this nice sublimation paper. So let's go ahead and place this in here. So you just wanna hit the home. We're gonna go ahead and go into maintenance, and we're gonna do the nozzle check, which is the first one. So we're gonna hit OK to proceed. Load the paper, we did do that. So we're gonna go ahead and hit the print button. This is showing us that it looks like the black is working fine. Yellow, or the yellow, magenta, or the cyan. So that is our issue, which I thought the yellow was working based off of the yellow, but I guess not. So it says here, are there any missing segments? Yes. So we're gonna select yes. And it says, do you want a clean print head? So we're gonna say yes. And it says clean print heads to correct the missing dots. So we're gonna go ahead and do start cleaning. It says do not turn the power off until it's complete. This can take about 3 minutes. And this is something you don't want to do very often because it does waste ink. But if you know it's not working and you want to move to the next step and see if this will resolve the issue, then you definitely need to do this. All right, so we did that, and 3 minutes is up. So it says cleaning complete. Check if nozzles are not clogged, because that could be the issue why it's not printing. So we're gonna go ahead and do nozzle check and hit print. And we're gonna check and see if it is unclogged. Okay, so it is not unclogged. It doesn't look any better at all. So we're gonna go ahead and say, are there missing segments? Yes. Clean the print head? Yes. Start cleaning. So we're gonna do this. This is the second time we're gonna clean this. Okay, so we just finished our second cleaning. We're gonna go ahead and do nozzle check. So you're just gonna hit the arrow down. Next, we're going to go ahead and hit OK, proceed, print. Okay, so we still have an issue, and we have done the cleaning twice. Let's go ahead and we're going to hit no and OK, and we're just going to get out of here. Let's hit back. All right, so we've done the cleaning twice, and it has not helped. So what they recommend doing is waiting 10 minutes. So we're just gonna set the timer for 10 minutes before we move on to the next step. So Epson recommends taking some breaks in between, like for example, that we're taking the 10-minute break because it gives your print head a break. I guess each cleaning cycle sends electrical pulses and uses suction to push ink through the nozzles. So if you continually do them back to back, it says if you run cleanings too close together, it can cause the print heads to overheat, shift out of alignment, or they can wear down faster. So waiting between cleanings lets it cool off and it keeps it in good shape. So that's why we're waiting. So we've done 2 print head cleanings. They didn't work. We waited 10 minutes. Now we're gonna go, let's say we're starting here. We're gonna hit home, go over to maintenance, hit OK. And now we're gonna do a power cleaning, which this wastes more ink. So only do this if you've done the other steps and if this did not work. We're gonna go ahead and put OK. And it says visit the following website to see your documentation. All right, so we're at the section where it won't let us do the deep cleaning. Instead, the printer is saying visit the following website and see your documentation. So it wants you to go to epson.com/support. So that is where we are right now, and I'm going to go ahead and walk you through those steps. So we are here. We're going to go ahead and put ET2720 because that is what I have. If you have a different model, you can still use these steps. For the Epson, you'll just put in your printer. So we're going to go ahead, click that, slide down, Next, you need to select your operating system. So I'm Windows 11. It does have 10, 8, 7, XP, Vista. You just select the one that works for you. So I'm going to select Windows 11, and then we're going to select Go. So what it wants me to do is download the drivers and utility combo package installer. So let's go ahead and we're going to hit download. And you can see it downloading up here on the right hand side. So let's double click on that. It says before you begin product setup, you need to let your operating system access your location. Click open to the operating system settings screen, enable location services, then enable the following items. Let the app access your location. Let desktop apps access your location. Close the operating system screen. Click next. Let's go ahead. We're going to hit open. Location services is on. We're going to go back to here and we're going to hit next. And your file contains the installer to obtain everything you need to use your Epson. Hit OK. And then we're going to go ahead and hit accept and then install. And this is just updating everything for you that you need for your printer. Okay, now we're going to hit next. And then it says, confirm the ink is charged. For first time setup, you need to fill the ink tanks and start the ink charging process as described. So we're going to go ahead and click the checked box to confirm the ink is charged, and we're going to hit next. And then we're going to select our connection, which I like to do wireless. So I'm going to go ahead and hit wireless and then next. Your computer's current network profile prevents device sharing. This will disable some network functions on your Epson products, such as scanning from the control panel for a network that you trust. It is recommended that you enable sharing. So let's go ahead and do yes, I will enable sharing. Let's go ahead and we're going to select the printer is already on my wireless network. So let's select that and we're going to hit next, next. And it's just re-establishing connection, making sure you're set up properly, blah, blah, blah. Let's hit next and not do that. And it says Epson print, Google, I don't want that. And email print, I don't want. So I'm going to hit next and then finish. Okay, so we just went to Epson.com support and followed those directions. So we're going to hit OK. And then we're going to do power cleaning. So we're going to hit OK. Go back, to maintenance and go to power cleaning and hit proceed. The reason it won't let us proceed is because it thinks that our ink levels are not full, so that's not registering to it. So we need to go back in here to maintenance. We'll want to redo ink levels. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to hit OK, and then we're going to hit start, proceed, proceed, and here. And then we're going to check this. So one, whoops, I'm going to select every one. Okay, and then we're going to hit OK. Then we're going to go ahead and press this button to reset it. So now it's telling us again, reset complete. Check if your ink level is above the lower line. And we're going to hit OK. And then we're just going to go back home. So after I reset the ink levels again, I went back to try power cleaning, but it still wasn't letting me do it. No matter what I tried, I kept getting the message telling me to visit Epson.com/support. So the next thing I did was head over to Epson support site, and now we need to download the firmware update utility. The reason for that is sometimes the power cleaning option is disabled or hidden on certain Epson printers if the firmware is outdated. So updating the firmware can unlock features that weren't showing up before, and in some cases it fixes weird bugs that block you from accessing deeper maintenance tools. So even though my ink tanks were full and I had reset the levels, I wanted to rule out the possibility that the printer's firmware was the thing stopping me from using power cleaning. It's quick, it's easy, and it's worth doing just to make sure everything is up to date. So we're heading back to Epson.com/support. And then we need to enter the printer again. So ET2720, ET2720. Okay, so now we need to go to the operating. Doing Windows 11 is what I use. Last time we did the drivers and utility combos, so we've already done that. So now we need to click on utilities, And then we're going to download the Epson software updater. So we're going to go ahead and double click here. And this file contains the installer to obtain everything you need for your Epson. Okay. Install. Next. And we're going to select click and then next. And this is wireless. So let's hit next. The printer's already on my wireless. Next. 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 And I'm going to uncheck these. Next. Okay, so that part is done. So we downloaded the Epson software updater from the support site. After installing it, Epson is supposed to automatically detect your printer and then give you the option to install the maintenance utility, the firmware updater, or something called product setup. So in my case, that did not happen. So I followed all the steps. I installed it, opened it, but for whatever reason, it didn't detect my printer properly, and I never saw any of those extra tools pop up. I even looked inside the Epson folder on my computer for a maintenance utility or deep cleaning option like power ink flush or ink charging, but nothing showed up. So at this point, instead of wasting more time trying to get Epson software to cooperate, I moved on and I downloaded the WIC Reset utility. It's a trusted third-party tool that a lot of people use when Epson locks or hides features like power cleaning. And honestly, this is what finally worked for me. So let me walk you through that step. All right, so I turned the Epson around. Before we download the WIC, you have to install this USB printer cable, which of course I looked all over and I couldn't find it. But this is something that is universal. So if you have one from another printer, you can use it. Thankfully, I just got the eye color and it had one and it fit. So happy. So it looks just like this. We're going to go ahead and then just place this right in here. And the other end will look just like this, the USB. I'm going to go ahead and connect this to my laptop. Then we're going to go ahead and follow the steps of downloading the WIC. And now that we are plugged in, I'm going to go ahead and hit download the WIC Reset tool for Windows. So if you are Mac or Linux or anything else, you would do that. We're going to hit download and I accept the terms next. And we're going to hit next again. Next. Go ahead and create a shortcut. And let's hit next and then install and then finish. Okay, so greetings. The assistant will help you select the correct operation according to your needs. Let's go ahead and select this. All right, so when I opened the WIC Reset utility, it asked me if I wanted to close some Epson processes that were running in the background. That is optional. It just helps prevent any interferences from Epson's own software. So if you're just doing a head cleaning or checking the waste counter, which is what we're going to do, you can actually skip that part and just go straight to selecting your printer. So we're just going to X this out and go and select our printer. You might see that your printer is listed more than once. One is for Wi-Fi connection and one is for USB. Make sure to click on the USB version since WIC only works over a wired connection. You'll notice the USB one because there's a little cable icon next to it. The next thing we need to do is click on Read Waste Counter. So you'll see here there are two counter numbers. So these two counters are showing how full your printer's internal waste ink pads are. Every time your Epson printer does a cleaning cycle, small amounts of ink are flushed out and they're absorbed by these pads. So Epson tracks these using internal counters, not actual ink levels, just estimated usage. So my first counter says I'm 9.57%. This means means that one of the waste ink pad area has only been used about 9.5% of its capacity. So this one's in great shape. The counter 2 shows that I'm at 79.98. So this one is closer to being full, about 80% used. So it's still okay for now, but once it gets to 100, the printer will likely lock up and say a maintenance is required. So basically both counters are currently okay because it's showing in green. So we don't need to reset anything just yet. We're gonna go ahead and move to the next step. So next, we're going to go ahead and click on head cleaning. You'll see a notice pop up that says this operation uses a very large amount of ink and it will increase the waste ink counter significantly. I'm going to hit continue because honestly, I don't really have a choice at this point. My printer isn't printing correctly and this is what it's going to take to hopefully get it working again, which we know that it does. So the head cleaning can take a few minutes to run, and if you've never done it before, it is kind of loud, and that is completely normal. So it took about 10 or 15 minutes, and then it said completed, and then immediately went back to this screen. We're going to go to maintenance, and we're going to do a nozzle check again, and that's what we originally had done. But it took us back to this step. So we're gonna go ahead and hit OK. Load paper we did. And I'm just using copy paper. We're gonna print. Ooh, it's looking a little bit better. Okay, well, before we had the black, now we have the yellow and the red and the blue. So obviously this must have been clogged. So that did clear up the clog. So it says, are there any missing segments? And yes, we're missing black. And then here, this is the blue is missing a little bit. So we're gonna say yes. Clean the print head. So I guess we have to do it one more time and then we're gonna hit start. And this takes about 3 minutes. So it just finished doing the cleaning, and before we hit finish, or we're gonna need to hit nozzle check. But before we do that, we're gonna set our timer for 10 minutes because again, you wanna wait 10 minutes. We waited 10 minutes. We're gonna go ahead, click down to nozzle check, and we're gonna hit OK, print. And again, I'm just using regular copy paper. Okay, it's looking better. So we have black is missing, blue looks a little bit more fixed, yellow is fine, red is fine. So before we move to the next step, we're just going to leave it as is. And again, we have to set the timer for 10 minutes. We'll want to wait 10 minutes and go to the next step. All right, it's been 10 minutes again, so let's go ahead and hit the home button. Were there any missing segments? Remember, yes, there was. So now we're going to hit yes. And then we're going to tell it to clean the print head again. And then we're going to hit start cleaning. And remember, we waited 10 minutes. All right, so it just finished. So we're going to click on nozzle check, OK, and print. So this looks awesome. The blue is not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's so much better. There's probably just a little micro clog or an air bubble in the blue, because black, yellow, and magenta look awesome. And it's just, you can see here the blue. So the next step is waiting 30 minutes. So what we're gonna do is just set the timer for 30 minutes and then we're gonna come right back. We're gonna go ahead and do the nozzle check, hit OK, and print. And hopefully this is the last one, because if you recall, we were pretty close before this. There's just a little bit of the break in the cyan, so hopefully this resolved everything. Okay, so this honestly looks really, really good. The cyan looks much better, and now the black has a little bit of stuff there. Honestly, I think it looks super good. I don't know if I want to say that it's missing anything. So at the end, I went ahead and just said no, it wasn't missing anything, because I think it looks so much better than before. So I was really, really pleased. This really helped me a lot. I hope this video helps you guys as well. Comment below, let me know if it did. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.